Good Monday morning to you students. Welcome to geometry class. Hope you guys have had a great weekend. Couple quick announcements here. We will have a quiz on Friday. I know I've been a little indecisive on that, but we're going to hold off until Friday. I looked ahead and I saw the place in the chapter where I'd like to stop and take that quiz before we continue on and finish up for the test over chapter 10. And I feel like it would be best if we have the test on Friday, or the quiz on Friday, excuse me. And that quiz will probably take the whole class period. I'm not planning on teaching that Friday. I plan on being in to give you the test when we do have the test over chapter 10. Last Friday, when Mr. Harmon collected Thursday's homework, when you came into class Friday morning, and I said in the video, please turn in Thursday night's homework, he emailed me and said only Caitlin turned in the homework. Now, homework's not an option, and now some of you might have turned it in later during the day, but if I was there in person, I would expect it to be turned in right then, or it would be counted late. And you're really hurting yourself when you don't do the homework. You should know that by now, and you really should have it done before the class period starts, because math builds. And I know senioritis sets in. I know you guys are ready to get out the door. I know, Terry, you're ready. You're a junior, ready for the summer. It's almost here, but you can't let up now. I will not flunk any student in this class. I want you to know that. I will not. If you flunk, you'll flunk yourself. And I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not trying to use scare tactics. What I am saying is you can't quit now, okay? And I would say that if I was there face to face. I've given lectures to my classes all the time. When I was a teacher in the past, this is not the time to let up. You've got to work hard, okay? And I'm sorry, I hate that for you. I know it's not fun, but be honest with you, being a dad and being a husband is not always fun either. It's a lot of work. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my family. My point is this: it's work, and you've got to learn work ethic. And by the way, about 99% of the stuff I do every day is stuff I don't want to do. I have to do. It's my responsibility. So the older you get, that's just one of the things that life is all about, is doing what you have to do. So please get your homework done, okay? So unless some of you turned it in later, Kate was the only one that turned her homework in. So having said that, please go ahead right now and please turn in your homework from over the weekend. And I know Mr. Harmon will email me with those that have not. So please turn your homework in at this time from over the weekend. And let's go ahead and move on. Your tests have been passed back in my email to Mr. Harmon. I told him I'd be going over the tests. We're going to actually hold off on going over those. I'm sorry. That is a very rare thing for me. Those that had me last year, we went over every test, every time you took a test, and they were passed back the next day, and you kept your test. You could take it home and study it and find your mistakes. This is one test, because of the senior trip and how long ago it's been, I'm just not going to be able to do that today. Now, maybe later on this week I will try to, but at least you have your test in front of you to take home and look over. And maybe I can actually print up an answer sheet with the problems worked out and send that to school sometime, so you can put that with your test. But either way, we are not going to go over those tests right now at this time. We just have to get the math covered. We had a whole week off, and we have to really move quickly. So having said that, you can just kind of watch right now or take notes. That's up to you. I just want to quickly remind you that last week on Friday, we looked at, that's not right, I almost put 30, 60, 90. We looked at 45, 45, 90 triangles, okay? And we learned 3 traits about those triangles. I want to very quickly write them up here, and then we're going to start today's lesson. One of the traits was the hypotenuse equals the square root of 2 times the leg. And the second trait that we looked at is the leg of a 45, 45, 90 triangle equals the hypotenuse over square root of 2. And the last trait that we learned is, in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the legs are always the same. So if I gave you a triangle like this, and I told you this angle here was 45 degrees and this angle here was 45 degrees, you know for sure 45 plus 45 is 90, so you know this has to be 90 to give you a sum of 180. Remember, all of the angles inside of a triangle have to add up to 180. But right away, you know, as soon as you see a 45, 45, 90 triangle, I'm going to highlight it in red. You know this leg here, and you know this leg here are congruent. I can put a slash here and a slash here. So if I told you this had a length of 8, then you know this leg had a length of 8. If this leg had a length of 18, then this leg has a length of 18. Okay? And that's really important because today we're going to look at 30, 60, 90 triangles, and the legs are not congruent. Did you hear that? Today we're going to look at 30, 60, 90 triangles, and the legs are not congruent. We have what we're going to call a shorter leg, and we have what we call the longer leg. And so we're going to be dealing with that today. But before I got into it, I wanted to remind you, love y'all, care about you. I'm not trying to be mean, but this is your job right here. You need to know those 3 character traits. Go with a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Very, very important. Okay, now I'd like you to take some notes. Today we are going to be looking at a special triangle, and it's called a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Now, to give you a little closure, what I plan on doing, let me glance at my notes. I want to show you what a 30, 60, 90 triangle is. I want to explain to you where they get the formulas from. You don't have to understand it. Some of you will, some of you won't. Then I'm going to give you 3 character traits, just like I did with the 45, 45, 90 triangle. Then we're going to work out 5 problems. 5 problems, then I will give you 12 problems for your homework. Okay, so there's pretty much an agenda for the class period. Okay, we're looking today at 30, 60, 90 triangles, and the lesson number is 10.3, 10.3, and the date today is the 29th, the 29th. Okay, with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I'd like to take some really good notes. Please write this in your notes. I want you to write a triangle in your notes, like that. And let's call this here 30 degrees. And by the way, if this thing ever freezes up like it did that one class period, just wait. It will unfreeze. It might take 2 or 3 minutes. You might have to fast forward the video, but don't just assume it's not going to work. I will always fix it, okay, and make sure that it works. So this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Would you write that in your notes, please? Everybody see that? Write that in your notes. This is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. It doesn't take an aeronautical engineer to see why it's called a 30, 60, 90 triangle. One angle has a measurement of 30, one angle has a measurement of 60, and one angle has a measurement of 90. Now, we know that the right angle always points to the hypotenuse. So go ahead, just to humor me, go ahead and write HYP. Would you please? I have a reason for doing this. Trust me. Go ahead and write HYP period for hypotenuse. Now, you say, well, Mr. Earhart, I can see which leg is longer and which leg is shorter, but hold it. You shouldn't go with just the naked eye and just try to look at that. You've got to use facts. Sometimes I will draw a triangle out of proportion. So here's what you do. Which angle is bigger, 30 or 60? Well, obviously 60 is. So if you were to go straight across from that angle, that's always going to be the longer side, okay? So actually in this problem here, do you see what happened? This leg here actually visually is shorter than this leg here, but in reality, this is the leg here that in a math problem I would want you to know is the longer leg. This leg here is the longer leg, but it's because it's across from the larger angle. That's very important that you see that. So label this longer leg. Now see the smaller angle, which is your 30, okay, go straight across. Draw a line going straight across to the opposite side from that angle. The side that's always directly across from 30 is going to be your shorter leg. You will need to know that or you will be lost. Let me say this again. The side that's directly across from the larger angle, 60, is your longer leg. The leg that's across from the smaller angle, 30, is your shorter leg. And you really, really, really need to know that, okay? Now let me very quickly show you where they got these character traits from. I'm going to show you in just a moment. And some of you will understand this and some of you will not, and that's okay. Remember, all of you can memorize the traits. You don't have to understand where this came from. So just kind of sit back and relax and watch. You don't have to take notes on this if you don't want to. I'm going to start off by drawing a 60, 60, 60 triangle. So I'm going to put 60 here, 60 here, and 60 here. And I'm going to label all the sides 2, 2, and 2. Okay? Now, I'm going to drop a line down. I'm going to cut this triangle right in half. Now, when I cut it in half, I want to highlight this right side. Okay? Now, I'm going to highlight this right side right here. Now, watch what happens. See that triangle there? Now, I'm going to bring it down here. There's that red triangle. Now, what is this length right here? Well, it's 2, so I'm going to go ahead and put a 2 right here. Now, what was this whole length going across? Was it not a 2? But we dropped this down and cut it in half, so this length here would be a 1. Now, remember, some of you will understand this, some of you won't. That's okay. This is a right angle because I dropped the line straight down perpendicular and bisected 60. This angle here is 60, so this stays 60. Now see this 60 degrees right here? When we dropped this down, it cut 60 in half, so we're going to call this 30. Now if you were to use Pythagorean's theorem and find this missing leg, you would get this right here. Again, for the second or third time, you do not need to understand this. I've just asked you to watch it, keep an open mind, listen to me, do the best you can to stay awake, and then we'll go on. I will show you what the character traits are you need to know for a 30, 60, 90 triangle. But I'm just trying to show you where this comes from. So as you can see, the hypotenuse right here is always going to be twice as big as the shorter leg, and the longer leg is always going to be square root of 3 times the shorter leg. Now you might not see that. Don't worry about it if you don't. I just wanted to very quickly show you a little proof and give you a little idea of where these character traits come from that I'm about ready to give you right now. Okay? And here they are. Here are the 3 traits that you do need to know. So write these down. Okay? I guess we could label this. I'm going to abbreviate. Sometimes I type your notes and sometimes I don't. So that does happen sometimes. Not a big deal. Character traits of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay? All right, character trait number 1. The longer leg equals the shorter leg times square root of 3. You need to know that. Character trait number 2. The shorter leg equals the longer leg divided by the square root of 3. You need to know that. And now the last character trait is not a formula, it's words. Hypotenuse, we're going to put hip, H-Y-P. Hypotenuse is twice the shorter leg, always, in a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Now, I wrote this in a sentence because I want you to be able to go both ways. For example, if the hypotenuse is twice, I guess I should say twice as big as, if you want to put that in there, it's up to you. But the hypotenuse is twice as big as the shorter leg. So if I told you the hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 triangle was 12, then the shorter leg would have to be what? 6, because the hypotenuse is twice as big as the shorter leg. If I told you the hypotenuse was 17, well, divide that by 2. If the hypotenuse is 17, then the shorter leg would have to be 8.5. Use the calculator if you need to. Do you see how this works? Let's go backwards. What if I told you the shorter leg had a length of 10? Well, if the shorter leg has a length of 10, then the hypotenuse would have to be 20. Do you see how I'm doing that? If the shorter leg had a measurement of 8, then the hypotenuse would have to have a measurement of 16. So the hypotenuse is always twice as big as the shorter leg. And so if I give you the hypotenuse or the shorter leg, you should be able to very quickly find the other one by either multiplying by 2 or dividing by 2. So there's your 3 character traits that we're going to use over and over and over. Okay? All right. Now again, let me go back a page. You don't have to understand this proof that I gave you. I might have shot over everyone's head in the entire class. Maybe 1 or 2 of you understood. I don't know. But you can memorize this. And now what I'm concerned, let's go back to page number 1 here. I'm concerned you're going to confuse these 3 character traits with these 3 traits here. These 3 traits here are for a 45, 45, 90 triangle. These traits here are for a 30, 60, 90 triangle, okay? And it's your job, unfortunately, to memorize those and know those, okay? All right, let's continue on. I told you we're going to look at 5 problems today, and I need you to really, really, really pay attention and do the best you can. So here we go. Here's the first problem I'd like you to write in your notes. I would like you to write a triangle that looks like this. And let's call this X, and let's call this leg here 12. And we're going to put 30 degrees here, and we're going to put 60 degrees here. Now, I would like you to find X, the hypotenuse. Now, can I teach you to do something over and over and over and over, please? It's real important that I teach you this, okay? I would encourage you to label every side before you even start the problem. See this 30 right here? Go straight across, so we know that 12 is the shorter leg. See the 60? Go straight across. 60 is bigger than 30, so we know this side over here is the longer leg. See your right angle? Go straight across. This is your hypotenuse right here. I would always do that right off the bat, students, so you know which side is your shorter leg, which one's your longer leg, and which one's your hypotenuse. That is so, so important. All right, so here we go. We have the hypotenuse and the shorter leg. Now let's look in your notes, please, at property number 3 of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Property number 3 says the hypotenuse is always twice as big as the shorter leg. So if the shorter leg is 12, then the hypotenuse has to be, well, it's twice as big as the shorter leg, so the hypotenuse has to be 24. These are not that hard if you'll use your notes and use your character traits that I've taught you, okay? All right, let's take a look at another problem. I think you're going to get a lot of time in class to work on your homework today, and that's what I want. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but I've really tried to slow it down this chapter. Trigonometry is awesome, it's cool, but it can be difficult, and I want to make sure that you guys are with me on this. I think we spent 2 days on lesson 1, then 1 day on lesson 2, and 1 day on lesson 3, but now when we get to lesson 4, we're going to spend 2 days on that lesson, Tuesday and Wednesday, and really try to slow this down, okay? So I want to give you a lot of time in class to work on your homework, so you're getting it done, you're practicing, and really getting this stuff drilled into your head. Okay, moving on. Let's take a look at this problem here. Let me find my notes here. All right, write this down, please, in your notes, if you would. Same type of triangle, only facing the other direction. We'll call this our right angle. Once again, our 60 degrees will be up here at the top, and our bottom will be 30 degrees down here. And we have a 5 right here, and we have an X right here. So we're trying to find the length of this side. Now, what did I teach you to do? Stop and label your 3 sides. Here's the right angle. Go straight across. So go ahead and put HYP. This is your hypotenuse. Now, see the 60? Everybody see the 60? Go straight across from the 60, and that's going to be the longer leg. The longer leg is always across from the 60. See the 30? Go straight across, and that's going to be your shorter leg. So I would advise you to always always label all 3 sides of your triangle. All right? All right, well, here we go. We have the shorter leg and the longer leg. Wow, what are we going to do? We're looking for the longer leg. Let's see. Would you please do me a favor? Look at character trait number 1. Okay, look at character trait number. I'm going to go back a page here. Look at character trait number 1. Longer leg equals shorter leg times the square root of 3. So I'm trying to find the longer leg. That's my X, right? So I'm going to use the formula that helps me find the longer leg. And that's character trait number 1. How do you find the longer leg? Longer leg equals the shorter leg times the square root of 3. It's that easy. So what is the shorter leg? Well, if you look over here, here's the shorter leg. It's 5. So the longer leg equals 5 times the square root of 3. You did it. It's that easy, okay? It's just not that difficult. Let's go back a page. How did I know to use this formula right here? Well, look at the problem. Was I not trying to find the longer leg? That's where X was. Sure I was. So why would I use this formula here? That helps me find the shorter leg. Why would I want to use this here? That's the hypotenuse and the shorter leg. Those aren't going to help me. But this formula right here said longer leg equals. So I knew I wanted to use this one because that's how you find the longer leg. All right, let's try our third problem of the class period. Problem number 3. Here it is. Please copy this into your notes. All right, this time we're going to have 60 degrees down here instead of up top. We'll have 30 degrees right here, and we're going to give the measurement of this side and the hypotenuse right here. All right, now I'm going to go a little faster because you guys are older students. You should be able to draw lines across from 30 degrees, across from 60, across from the right angle. So here's your right angle. I'm going to go straight across. I'm going to put a parentheses. I'm going to label this my hypotenuse. Here's 30. I'm going to go straight across from 30, and this side over here would be my shorter leg. Here's 60. I'm going to go straight across. This would be my longer leg. So I'm trying to find the hypotenuse, and I do know the shorter leg. Well, hold it. Look at character trait number 3. The hypotenuse is always twice as big as the shorter leg. Do you see that? Character trait number 3 in your notes. Please look at it. The hypotenuse is always twice as big as the shorter leg. So if the shorter leg is 7, then the hypotenuse, which we're calling x, must equal 14 because the hypotenuse is always twice as big as the shorter leg. All right? All right, let's continue on. It's just not that hard. What's going to be hard for you guys is memorizing these character traits. That's what you're going to have to do, and that's not going to be easy. All right? Okay, let's see what we have here. Now we're going to get into some harder ones here in just a minute, but we're going to do this one here is pretty simple. And the last one we're going to do is really going to make you think. So be ready for that. And that does not look very much like a right triangle. That's a little better. All right, copy a triangle like this in your notes, please. We're going to put our 60 back up top again. We're going to put the 30 right over here. And we're going to label this measurement here 3 and this measurement here x. All right, I want us to find the value of x, find what x equals. Well, let's very quickly label all of our sides. Here's your right angle, go straight across, and this is my hypotenuse over here. All right, here's 30 degrees, go straight across. This would be my shorter leg. Here's 60 degrees, go straight across. This would be my longer leg. Do we see that okay? All right, now, I'm trying to find the longer leg, and I do have a formula in my list of character traits that tells me how to find the longer leg. And it's longer leg equals shorter leg times the square root of 3. Longer leg equals shorter leg times square root of 3. And they've given me the shorter leg, it's 3, so the longer leg equals 3 square root of 3. There we go. Where the shorter leg is, I substituted 3. So there's my longer leg. Or you could also say that's what x equals. X equals 3 square root of 3. All right, one more, and then I want you to jump right into your homework. If you guys want to play the homework video and watch that while you're doing the homework, not to just cheat and copy and be lazy, but to make sure you're doing it right, that's totally fine. I have no problem with that. All right, let's take a look at our last problem here. Okay, for this last problem, please copy this triangle into your notes. If you would, please. Thank you. Last one. Sounds good, doesn't it? We'll jump right into your homework. We're going to call this 10 square root of 3. We're going to label this angle down here 30 degrees. And we're going to label this angle here 60 degrees. And I want you to find the hypotenuse. Now, before you do anything, let's label all of our sides. Here's your right angle. It points across to this side here, so let's call this the hypotenuse. Here's 60 degrees. Go straight across to this side over here. This would be your longer leg. Here's 30 degrees. Let's go straight across to this side over here. That would be your shorter leg. It's so important you learn to do that. Now, I want you to find the hypotenuse. Now, if you'll go back to your character traits and look at the screen here, I'm going to go back to it. I've got a serious problem here. Look at your character traits. The only thing that mentions hypotenuse to me is that it's twice as big as the smaller side. That's the only thing I know about the hypotenuse. Let's go back to our problem. The hypotenuse is always twice as big as the smaller side, but I don't know what the smaller side is. That's a question mark. So I've got a little bit of a problem here, but what I'm thinking is hold it. If I can find a smaller side, then I know the hypotenuse is always twice as big as the smaller side. So once I find the smaller side, or the smaller leg, excuse me, once I find the smaller leg, I can multiply it by 2 and I'll have my hypotenuse. So I know what my longer leg is. I want to find the shorter leg, then I can find the hypotenuse. Let's go back to that list of character traits. Oh, look at this right here. Look at that. I have a formula for the shorter leg. The shorter leg equals longer leg divided by the square root of 3. There it is. Let's go back to our problem. So shorter leg equals longer leg divided by square root of 3. So shorter leg equals longer leg, that's 10 square root of 3 divided by square root of 3. And of course these cancel. So the shorter leg equals 10. So I found the shorter leg. So the shorter leg right here equals 10. Now I'm not finished. I want to know what the hypotenuse is. But remember character trait number 3? Right here it is. In your notes you can look at it. The hypotenuse is twice as big as the shorter leg. So now that I know the shorter leg is 10, then x, the hypotenuse, has to equal 20 because the hypotenuse is twice as big as the shorter leg. Isn't this cool stuff? I really love trigonometry. It's some of the coolest, neatest math you'll ever do. Now, I could make this amazingly hard, and there's some really hard trigonometry out there. That's not our goal for this class. But the stuff you're going to be doing is really, really cool. Tomorrow, we're going to get into tangent, and then and I think we're going to get into a little more. Excuse me for yawning. It is now midnight while I'm doing this video, so a little tired. But we're going to look at tangent for a couple of days, then sine and cosine for a couple of days. I think you guys will really, really enjoy that. If you've had that in the past and not done well, don't worry. We'll break it down and go slow and help you understand it. Okay, your homework assignment is page 5. I can't even talk. 552. 552. Let's do 11, and then we're going to do 13. And then 17, I've handpicked these for a reason, and then 18, and then 23, and then 24, and then 30 through 35. That's 12 problems, like I said, 30 through 35. All right? So there we go, page 552, 11, 13, 17, 18, 23, 24, 30 through 35. If you want help, it's going to be back, Berean Academy Geometry, 10-3. And then homework. If you want to write that down and look that up tonight, it'll help you with your homework, okay? I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. If you want to play the other video while you're doing your homework, fine. I'm not sure how much time you have left in class. Hope you have a great day. Get your homework done, okay? Because I'm going to keep calling this out every day. You're to turn your homework in. I mean, again, I'm not trying to get a slap on the back or a pat on the back, but every night you have basically a teacher going home with you, helping you with your homework if you'll just do it. Okay, so please do your homework. I will talk to you guys on Tuesday.